Hey G-Squad, welcome back to Solo of Is It Worth It? So today's episode we got this cool thing here, and basically what these are some portable power station. You can see right here I do have 3 of them from 3 different brands, but I'm probably going to show you guys a few more in this video in terms of some of them from this different brand. But I want to showcase these 3 right here that we do have because these are the ones that give you guys some of the best power that you can get right now in terms of the size and what you guys can get for each one of them. So this one right here is from a brand called UGreen. This one right here is from a brand called Ecoflow. And this one right here is from a brand called Anker. In terms of what you guys do get for each one of these is about the same thing in terms of like the USB-C option, USB option, AC option, DC option. And also give you guys a light option for 2 of them. So this one has a light and this one also has a light, but this one does not. So keep that in mind. So one right now is to bring the camera closer to show you guys what it looks like for each one of them because it's kind of heavy for me to carry each one of them to show you guys what it looks like. So let's take a look at the UGreen one here first. So this one gives you guys a light option like I mentioned that's very bright and you have to turn it on. So there's a low setting, there's a high setting, there's like a flashing option, and then SOS. So that's how you use it on this one. For the Ecoflow one right here, it does not have a light option for you to use. But for the Anker one here, it does give us a light. So that's on low, that's on medium, this is on high, and it does turn off. If you guys do press and hold it, it turns on like the flashing option or SOS option. If you guys press it again, it does turn off. So the light that's on here is more like a warm white color, and this one is a bright white color or cool white. And if you guys notice, for this one, it's a lot more brighter because it's much smaller compared to this one where it's a little bit bigger. You can see how we have to turn it on for both of them for max. You guys can see the difference for both of them. This one's way brighter and it aims in one direction. But for this one right here, it's not as bright when you have to use it. And then in terms of what you guys do get for some of these products, it's actually very similar like I mentioned. This one gives you guys 4 USB-A option. This one gives you guys 4, but this one gives you guys 2. They mentioned for these output on here for USB-A option, probably guys 22.5 watts each. And I believe these around like 18 or 22 watts as well. But they mentioned these will give you guys a fast charging option and these will be regular. And I believe all these will give you guys like the fast charging option with the Power IQ technology when you have to use it. But if you guys notice right here for these 2, give you guys 100 watts for the top one. And this one right here give you guys 60 watts. Or for this one right here give you guys 100 watts for both of them when you have to use it. So feel free to plug in like maybe 2 laptops at the same time to charge it, which we'll test out in a second. And also for this UGreen one here, it gives you guys 2 USB-C options that probably guys 100 watts each as well. So allow you guys to charge 2 laptops at the same time, which will also test as well. In terms of card socket option, this one gives you guys a card socket option on here. And then like the DC option right here if you guys want to use. This one I believe it also gives you guys the option, but it's probably on the other side. Let me flip it around just to make sure. Alright, so see how once you guys flip it around, this right here, they also give you guys a DC option for the use. And I believe for each one of these, give you guys a maximum around like 120 watts or something for the card socket option. But this one also give you guys the DC option here. But for this one right here, it only give you guys the card socket option and no DC option for you to use. So keep that in mind for this one when you have to use that. And then for each one of them, it does have the display for you guys to see. This one's in the front, this one is on the outside, and this one right here is in front here. So that's what it looks like for this one when you have to turn it on. Shows the input, output, the total percentage on here for the battery life, and it show you guys the IoT that allow you to connect it on the app. So I'll show you guys what it looks like in the app in a second. This one right here will show you guys the battery percentage, but it'll show you guys the input and output when you guys have it plugged in. And notice for this one, it does give you guys a reset option here. For the UGreen one right here, I'm not sure if it gives you guys a reset option, but let me actually double check in a second. For this one right here, they do have the overload protection for you to use. And like I mentioned, for this one, it might give you guys that well. Let me just double check. So when I turn aside for the UGreen one, it also gives you guys the overload protection on here inside, which is really nice. But also when you guys do look at the Anker one here in the back, they do give you guys the overload protection as well. So it seems like the Anker one is probably the only one that give you guys the reset button on here and overload protection. But in terms of what you guys do get for like the charging option, they do give you guys the wall charging option, give you guys a solar panel option to also work as a car charging option. Same for here and same for right here. In terms of the power for each one of these, some of them give you guys more power. You can see how this one give you guys 10A, this one give you guys 15A, and this one also give you guys 15A when you guys do the solar panel option and car charging option. So maybe these 2 right here will charge faster when you have to use it, but we'll give it a try in a second. And for the product, when you guys first get it, for each one of these, you do want to make sure the plug-in cable to activate it by charging up first, which they do tell you guys in the back, if you see. If you guys notice how each one of them, they do have a handle for you to carry around. So this one right here is on both sides. This one right here is right here, and also on the other side right here for you guys to carry around if you guys do want to. And then for this one right here is right on top. It has one single handle on top. And for each one of them is magnetic, so it sticks on. This one is clip-on, and this one's magnetic. And then for each one of them, they do have the overload protection and also like the ventilation fan on the side to prevent it from overheating when you use that. So here's on the side of this one and the other side as well. This one's on this side and the other side as well. This one right here is on the back and also the front as well. And the cool thing about Ecoflow one is the fact that they do have this option right here for you guys to plug in another battery if you guys do want to. I believe the other ones, they might have the option, but I know for sure the Ecoflow has the option for you guys to put in an extra battery to make it even more powerful and also last longer if you guys do need to. But in terms of the AC option, if you see this one right here, gave you guys 4 of the AC option with 2 prong and then 2 of them with the 3 prong option. Where for other one for these 2 right here, let me show you guys what it looks like. So for the UGreen one, they do provide guys 3 of the 2 prong option and 3 of the 3 prong. And then for this one right here, 3 of the 2 and then 3 of the 3 as well. So for all these, they do provide guys similar stuff in terms of what you guys do get. But some of them might be more powerful in terms of the charge speed on here for input and output when you guys do use it. Like these 2 right here, it does mention how it does have the technology built in terms of the extreme charge option to fast charge it, and also give you guys like the extra U-boost technology for you guys to use it for like stronger device. This one particularly mentioned how you can use it for up to like I think 2,500 watts of power device. And this one right here is something similar to that as well. So for all 3 of these devices, it's perfect for you guys to use for like a home emergency option or office emergency option or even for camping, which is really awesome. But one right now is a plug-in cable for each one of them to show you guys how much power it does provide in terms of input option when you guys do plug it in to recharge it. All right, so the first one we'll plug in is the UGreen one right here because it's a little bit harder for you guys to plug it in this angle compared to the rest. But once you guys do plug it in, it should start charging. So when you do look at the power that's being generated on here, let's see how much power it does provide. So currently it's providing around 1100 watts or 1111. So definitely probably got a lot of power when you guys do use it and see. And I love how I show you guys how long it takes to recharge it. It'll probably take you guys around 22 minutes to recharge the product from 63% to 100, which is really fast. And if you guys want to use other stuff at the same time, feel free to do so. We'll test that out in a second. Now I'm plugging the cable for the Ecoflow on here to show you guys how much power it does provide when you guys do use it on here. So I'll unplug it, because I don't want to use all of them at the same time, otherwise it might blow the fuse. Because if I plug in all 3 of them, it might be over 3,000 watts. But once you guys do plug it in, if you guys do look at how much power it does provide, right now it's around 87%, but see how the number's going up. And immediately it does probably has a lot of power on here, and it does turn on the fan to prevent it from overloading or over charging when you have to use it. But see how I'll show you guys the time left, which is 17 minutes. The battery percentage, the total watts on here was 1,170 watts, which is slightly more than the UGreen one. And you see how the fan is spinning right here. So that's what it looks like when you guys do that. Definitely probably has a lot of power. Now let's unplug it and try the last one, which is the Anker one. All right, so I just unplugged this one and we just plugged it in this one. When you guys do look at how much power it does provide for this one providing around 991 watts. So probably the reason why not providing guys as much power on this one is because it's around 96%. So for each one of these, when you guys are charging the product, if it's reached really high, like 97%, it does slow down speed. So keep that in mind. But what I'm doing right now is to give it a try and see how it does work if you guys use the USB-C option, and then we're gonna test out the AC option. Before I forget to mention for the Anker one right here, they do have the option for the power saving option as well, which is really nice. For the other ones here, they do not have the option. But now let's give it a try for the USB-C option and see how it does work. All right, so I do have my cable right here plugged into my MacBook Pro. If you guys do plug it in right here, give it a few seconds and it should turn on. So you can see how much power it does provide when you have to use it. It goes as high as 94 watts when you have to use it. If you guys do try the other one here, right underneath it, it should probably guys close to 60 watts. So right now it's 49, and there's 56, and there's 58. And now showing 82. So I guess for the product, even though it mentions it's 60 watts, maybe when you guys are only plugging one device at a time, it does get a little bit higher. You can see how when you guys plug in 61 right here, it goes as high as 80 watts when you have to use that. But it mentions 60 watts on here. So very cool how it does work and give you guys a lot of power on here when you have to use that. If you guys do the same thing for this one here, which is for the Ecoflow one, you guys have to turn it on first. Alright, so when I plugged in the other cable on here, it didn't work. So what I did instead was to plug in another cable on here and give it a try again. So once you guys do plug it in, it starts working. You can see how the number is slowly going up on here when you guys do use it. So right now it's going around 80 something watts or 89 watts you can see. So it does get very close to 100 watts when you guys do use it, but it depends on what you guys are running in the background. If you guys do have a lot of stuff running in the background and your battery percentage on your device is pretty low, then it does charge pretty fast. Otherwise, it won't go that high when you have to use it. You can see how it's going up and down in terms of 92 watts and 80 watts and then 78 watts when you have to use it. Now let's give it a try for the last one, which is the UGreen one, and see how it does work as well. Alright, so once you guys do plug it in, I used the same cable from earlier because for some reason it didn't work for the other one. But see how when you do use it, it definitely does work. So the power on here, it does go pretty high. It went as high as 79 so far. But same thing for this one, it should go as high as close to 100 watts when you do use it. You can see how right now it's around 80 something watts. And then same thing for this one, if you guys want to use two of them at the same time, maybe charge two laptops at the same time, you do have the option available. So it does probably got 100 watts and 100 watts for both of them. So when you guys compare this one right here and this one right here, it probably got the same amount of power on here in terms of 100 watts each. Same thing for this one. But this one probably got 100 watts and 60 watts, which is a little bit less than what you get on these two right here. Just to show you guys how it does work, let me actually bring another laptop to give it a try to show you guys what I mean. Alright, so right here I do have two laptops. Currently I do have one of them plugged in here and the other one's not yet. So right now 64 watts, but if you guys plug in both of them at the same time, the other one starts charging and it shows you guys how much power it does provide when you guys do use it. It goes as high as like 145 watts when you guys do use it. So obviously for both of your laptop, when you guys do charge it, if it's on like 80% or anything higher than that, it does a lot of charge. But once it reaches to like 20% or 10% or anything lower than that, it'll charge a lot faster in terms of what you do get. So probably get very close to 200 watts when you do use it. And even if you guys were to run something in the background for this one, it probably give you guys a lot more power as well. For example, if I do turn it on, once I kind of turn it on and kind of run something in the background, it'll probably give you guys a lot more of that power that's being generated on here when you have to use it. So the number went up a little bit, but not a lot. So it just depends on your battery percentage on here when you have to use it. Let me see how it's at like 154 now when you have to use it. Now I'll do the same thing for the other one and show you guys how much power it does provide when you have to use it. So unplug this one here and plug it in here. And I want to turn it on. Turn the USB as well, and it starts charging. It took some time, but you can see how much power it does provide. Currently it's providing around 70 watts. If you have to plug the other one as well, it seems like I'm having issue with this cable, so it might not work with this cable. So maybe the cable that I do have right here is a little bit of a defect, but you can see how it does work. Let me get another cable and give it a try again to see how it does work when you do use it. Alright, so I was able to get another cable. You can see how when you guys do plug in both of them, it does work. So right now it's providing around 145 watts when you do use it, which is very close to what you guys got earlier for this one. So like I mentioned, it really just depends on what you guys are running in the background and your battery percentage, but it does work. Now let's unplug it and do the same thing for the last one, which is Anker one, to show you guys how it does work when you guys do use it. So let's plug it in here. It should start charging. So you can see how the number's going up. But if you guys plug in the other one at the same time, you can see how the number goes up. So for this one as well, it does give you guys around 144 watts, which is similar to the other one as well. And the reason why is because like I mentioned, the total power on here is not that high. Because for the MacBook Pro, it can go as high as like I think 120 or 140 watts. Whereas the MacBook Air only goes as high as like I think 65 or 75 watts when you have to use it. But see how well it does work when you have to use all of them. Before I show you guys what it actually looks like in the app, let me show you guys how it does work if you guys were to use like electric kettle on here to boil water. So for the first test, we'll use the UGreen one first, since the AC option is on the other side, which is the right side, which I do have plugged in right now. But what I'm going to do is turn it on by pressing the button on the side. You can see how it does turn on. And what I'm going to do is press the button here to activate it and see how it does work. So we got it on. And when you guys do look at power that's on here, it does provide a lot of power. Right now it probably got the output of 1200 watts or very close to 1300 watts when I do use it. You can see. And like I mentioned for this product, when you guys do use it, it does provide a lot of power when you guys do use it. And it does support up to like 2500 watts of power for any device that can go that high. If you guys do plug in the cable at the same time while using the electric kettle, let me show you guys what happens. Alright, so I just plugged in the cable to recharge the product. If you guys turn it on at the same time, you can see how I convert the power on here and does provide guys even more power than earlier. You can see how the input right now is around like 300 or 400 watts and the output now is at 1400 watts, which is a lot more than what you guys got earlier. So now you do have a lot more power on here using that U-turbo technology that's on the actual product, which is really cool. And once you guys do turn it off, the power on here converts back to the input option we have to use it. You can see. So similar to this one, they do have like a smaller version available that does the same thing. I do have them with me, so I'm actually bringing over to show you guys what I mean. So right here is a smaller one. So it's slightly smaller than the other one in the back, you can see. But in terms of what you guys do get is very similar in terms of power that's being provided. You can see how right now when you do plug in the input option on here, it does provide you guys a good amount of power. And if you guys do turn it on, the electric kettle on here, it should work. So let's give it a try. If you see how it does probably got 600 watts on here when I do use it because that's the max. And the reason why I still allow you guys to use it is because for this one right here, for a smaller version, it does have that U-turbo technology that does support up to I think like 1200 watts of power for your other device, or I think 1500 watts to be exact. So for this one in particular, it does go as high as 15 watts when I do use it. That's why I activate the output option for it to use it. So for this one, it only allows you guys to use it as output, not as input at the same time, if you see. But everything you guys get on here is the same. If you see how we do have DC option, the USB option, USB-C option, and etc. And it does provide the same amount of power on here, which is 22.5 watts and 100 watts. And the light option is still very bright, even brighter than what you get on the Anker one here. So pretty much this one right here is just a smaller version of the big one, but you guys get a lot of similarities in terms of what you guys do get. It's just a max power on here is slightly less. And if you guys are curious about what happens when the input option on here turns off, or it doesn't charge any input on here even when the cable is plugged in, pretty much what happens is the overload protection. So if I turn on the side here, if you see how this part right here pops out. So same thing will happen for the big one if you guys do charge a lot of stuff that's very powerful. But pretty much all you need to do is just press it back in. Once you guys do that, it will start charging again. And if you guys do turn off the AC option, once you guys turn it off, you can see how the power converts back into the input option, and it does provide you guys 600 watts power when you do use it. So for the UGreen one on here, it definitely provides a lot of power when you have to use that, regardless if you guys get the big one or the small one. Obviously the big one gives you guys a lot more power, but both of them does allow you guys to use it. A lot of other power station doesn't give you guys the option to support even like the electric kettle when you guys do use it. This one does, but doesn't boil as fast when you do use it, if you see. So it definitely has all the built-in protection on here when you do use it. Now let's try the Ecoflow and the Anker one to show you guys how it does work. And I'll put this on one side because you guys don't need to see this anymore. Alright, so the next one right here for the Ecoflow one, you do have to plug it on the other side and press the AC option, turn it on, which I already have on right here. But pretty much what you guys want to do is to press the button to activate it and see how it does work when you do use it. So give it a few seconds or a few minutes to kind of load up. So now you can see how much power it does provide when you do use it. So providing you guys around like 1400 watts of power when you do use it, and it does work. Is in here how the fan is actually working on the product when you guys do use it. So you definitely have that built-in protection on here when you do use it. Let me try to plug in the input option and see what happens in the back to see when it works at the same time. Alright, so I just plugged in the input option cable and see how much power it does provide when you do use it. That way not only can you guys power on the device on here, but also charge the product at the same time. If you see how high you can go when you do use it, 1700 watts. And the output option is 1400 watts. So it definitely works really well when you guys do use it. So feel free to plug in multiple devices at the same time when you guys do use it. But you can see how when you guys do use it, it does have the overload protection on here where it does turn off by itself because probably too much power when you guys use the input and output at the same time. But just temporarily, you can see how it does work. And once it's shut down on here in terms of overload protection, it continues charging your power station that you do have. But the product definitely does work when you guys do use it. Now I'll try the last one, which is the Anker one, and show you guys how well that does work. Alright, so here is the last and final one, which is the Anker one. You guys turn on the AC option. If you guys do turn it on, give it a few seconds and it should load up. Alright, so right here it does provide you guys how much power it does provide when you do use it. So the product definitely does work. And it's currently providing you guys 1100 watts. So it's almost about the same in terms of how much power it does provide when you do use it. And if you guys do plug in the cable in the back, let me show you guys what happened at the same time. So I just plugged in the cable in the back. If you see how it's charging, if you guys do turn it on at the same time, let's see how well it does work when you guys do use it. and when actually works when you have to use it at the same time for the input option. So notice how when we do plug in the input option on here, it probably got 1400 watts, and the input option is around 47 watts. So probably got a little bit less power compared to the Ecoflow one and the UGreen one when you have to use it, especially for the input and output at the same time. But definitely does probably got a good amount of power on here when you guys do use it, as you can see. And it's finished boiling the actual water on here after testing out 3 of them at the same time. So the product definitely does work for all 3 of them when you have to use it. So feel free to plug in all the cable at the same time for each one of these power stations if you do want to. Just keep in mind that there is a limit in terms of the max power when you have to use it. And for each one of these, they do have the overcharge protection and over voltage protection and overload protection when you have to use it. So don't worry about that situation when you have to use it. So the very last thing what I want to do right now is to show you guys what it actually looks like on the app for each one of them, because they do give you guys the app option when you have to use it. Oh, actually, sorry for any confusion. This one right here does not have like the app control option. The one that I was thinking about is the 767, which is the bigger version, which I'll cover in a different video. I didn't want to cover in this video because the reason why is because these 3 right here are the ones that are the most similar in terms of what you guys do get. So this one does not give you guys app control, but these 2 does. So let me show you guys the UGreen one first. So this one right here is a UGreen app, and you guys got all set up. If you guys do tap on it, this is what the screen looks like. So it does show you guys the temperature on here. It shows you guys the percentage on here, total input, output, discharge time, device management option on here. So feel free to control like your AC option, U turbo technology on here, DC option, USB option, and feel free to turn on the light on here if you guys want to. So that would be on low, this is high, that's strobe, and etc. But right now I do have it connected on the other one, so that's why this one's not working just yet. Let me connect on this one as well to show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so I'm reconnecting the device onto the app for this one here. Since we already got the 600 one connected, this one not connected at the moment. Once you guys got connected, if you see the same thing on here, shows the input, output, discharge time, shows the AC option, DC option, etc. And it does have the U turbo technology on here for it to turn on and turn off should you guys do need to. So feel free to use it how you guys do want on here. If you guys want to turn on the light, that will be on low, that's high, that's strobe, and SOS. If you guys do tap here, they do have the operating mode for you guys to turn it on standard mode, power saving mode, or always on mode. Right there. So I'm turning it back on to the standard mode. Press right here, we do have the standby mode. If you guys want to turn the option on here, in the top right corner here, they do have the setting page. So feel free to connect it via Wi-Fi. You guys have the different quiet mode, mute option, child lock option, etc., which is really cool. Now we show you guys what it looks like for the Ecoflow one. So right here we do have the Ecoflow one. So I show you guys similar stuff in terms of the AC option, DC option, USB option, input, output, etc. If you guys click on setting page here, you do have the option turn on and turn off the muting option for the noise. You do have the option to control the AC option, charge speed, discharge option, X boost technology, and everything else. So very similar stuff in terms of what you guys do get on the device. And then like I mentioned for the Anker one, it does not have the option for this one, but if you guys get the biggest one, they do have like the app control, RV option, and they even give you guys like the option for the GaN technology or the GaN prime technology that give you guys a fast charging speed, a safe speed when you have to use that. A lot more power compared to what you guys do get on all 3 of these here. So that's a little bit of an in-depth review to show you guys what you guys do get for each one of these if you guys are interested. So now that we show you guys what's included for each one of these when you guys do use it, now to answer the question of whether or not it's worth it or not and which one's a better option to go for. So honestly, for all 3 of these devices on here, I do have to say that it's pretty worth it for what you guys do get. Each one of them is actually very powerful in terms of what you guys do get. And I love how each one of these give you guys a fast charging speed. All 3 of the devices is so big in terms of the battery capacity on here, and the power on here is actually very powerful as well. So it's really awesome to even consider the fact that how each one of these can recharge a whole entire power station within 2 hours or less. There's a lot of other power stations that I've shown you guys in the past, or probably even that I haven't reviewed yet, that probably takes around like 4 or 5 hours to recharge it, and the battery on there is not even as big as this one. So it's very impressive in terms of what you guys do get for each one of these 3 here, and also the smaller version of this one that I show you guys as well, that also charges within I think 1.5 hours. So honestly, you guys can't go wrong with either one of these in terms of which one the better option to go for. But if I really had to pick one of these in terms of which one the best one and rank it from 1, 2, and 3, honestly for me, I'll probably have to say that this one right here might be my #1 choice in terms of what you guys do get. There's not a lot of reviews for this one at the moment, but I feel like in the future, if people actually do the research in terms of what you guys do get, out of these 3 right here, this one definitely seems like the most powerful one, and it's pretty good for what you guys do get, since you do have the option to go as high as 2500 watts of power for your device, especially if you guys were to plug in another device at the same time and back. Not saying that this one's not powerful. It's really hard to pick between these two right here in terms of the most power in terms of what you guys do get. These two right here will either be 1, 2 or 1, 2. So that's the ranking for these two here. This one right here will be number 3 because it's missing a little bit of power on there in terms of what you guys do get as well. Like there's no app control on here as right now. Maybe in the future they may upgrade it on here and make a new version. And also the power on here when you have to use it. If you guys notice how it doesn't go that high, it goes as high as like 1400 watts and that's it. But these right here, it can go as high as 1400 watts and also still give you guys a lot of input when you have to use it. Like I think this one was around like 200, 300 watts for input, even when you guys do have 1400 watts of power when you guys do use the output option. And then this one right here, I can go as high as like, I think 1400 or 1300 watts and it's still probably guys 1100 watts of input charge when you have to use it. That way you guys are not losing any power on here when you have to use it, which is really awesome. So the ranking would be 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. These two right here is definitely my favorite choice and my most worth it choice out of all 3 of them when you guys do compare it, if you guys want my honest opinion. But if I were to compare these 3 right here to a lot of other power stations out there that's smaller in terms of what you guys do get, not like the bigger size like the Anker one that's like the 767. These 3 right here are probably like the most powerful ones out there at the moment in terms of what I do have. So feel free to just get any one of these. You guys cannot go wrong. It's very nice to use as a home emergency option or an office emergency option, even for camping. But then obviously for those of you guys who don't want or don't need one or having one of these, obviously don't buy one and save your money something else actually do need. So that's basically everything for this video itself. If you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button in the bottom. That will definitely help this video out and it'll definitely help with the algorithm as well to promote more videos for you guys so you guys can see more of the videos or similar videos as well. But as always, make sure to stay positive, be you, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Is It Worth It? Peace.